grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. My name is Bradley Ball. We are back and better than ever. It's so good to have you with us. Last week, we had our community roundtable, and on Wednesday, we released SQL Server internals, heaps versus clustered indexes. If you haven't seen those videos, we want you to go and check those out, but not right now, just in a little while later. If this is your first time making it over to Tales from the Field, we want you to give us a like, give us a subscribe to our YouTube channel. Speaking of, if you want to interact with this show, it is so easy to be able to do so. Right now, we are streaming over on our hub on our YouTube channel, on Twitter at Josh Ludeman, Neeraj Jhaveri, SQL Balls, Tales from the Field, over on LinkedIn at SQL Balls. If you make a comment on any of those streams, one of my amazing co-hosts will see that, and they will add that to the conversation, and you will be part of our live show. And speaking of my amazing co-hosts, before we go any further, let me introduce them. I am joined by the Hat Master himself, Josh Ludeman, the good-looking gentleman over to my right, Andreas Padilla. And he doesn't need any infinity stones because he's a walking human infinity gauntlet. It's your friend of mine, Neeraj Jhaveri. Boom. There we go. Andreas, we dropped SQL internals heaps versus clustered indexes last Wednesday. Then we had Easter weekend, and I have got to know, did the Easter Bunny bring you anything?
They did. They brought me actually some good chocolates, but they brought me a problem that, it landed on my doorstep earlier on. Is how do you explain to a 5-year-old how the Easter Bunny and Santa corroborate or as they are as thick as thieves, and how that whole operation works? And he wanted some, actual data behind it. So that was
it's a kid after my own heart right there.
I said, You know what? Ask your mother. That's what I said.
Ooh, punted it off to mom. Oh, he's going to pay for that one later.
And he openly said that.
So I'll be honest with you. It's funny because my youngest son, he's 18, and he looked at us this weekend because I get chocolate when I'm over at SQL Bits to be able to make up the baskets. So it's a little bit of something from another country. It's just different enough that it's super cool. It's always delicious stuff. But he looked at me and he goes, "So Dad, how did you feel for years busting your hump, working so hard, setting up all those things at midnight, and then letting a old fat white elf take credit for everything you did?" I was like, "Ooh." Well, I'm glad you appreciate it now, son, but that hurt Santa right in the kidney. Yeah.
Your heart, man. Hurt right here.
I know. Yeah. But the funny thing about it is what we're trying to do in Appearance is literally we're trying to capture magic, right? We're trying to capture that magic, give it to our kids. And I was saying that to the kids. Every one of us, I would hope, has one holiday where we remember coming around the corner and there was something amazing sitting there. For myself, I want to say I was like 6 or 7. He-Man, the Masters of the Universe came out. My birthday was in January. Christmas is in December, of course. It comes out in the spring. The only reason I know this is I have to wait darn near a full year to get He-Man. The only way I got a couple action figures, and all my friends are getting like tons of stuff at their birthday parties, I got chicken pox. And my mom, if I didn't like pick off any scabs, she went out and bought like 8 He-Man, and she would give me one for every time I had a day that I didn't pick off a scab. And also, thank you, Mom, for preventing me from having a ton of chickenpox scars via He-Man. But that was the only way I got any. And I come around that corner, and Castle Grayskull is sitting there, and Snake Mountain is sitting there, and it's got like the little microphone. We all went like this and talked like Bane, and every He-Man that you could imagine and bad guy is lined up like an army in a row. To this day, I mean, we're talking 40 years later, I am amazed by that memory. It fills me with wonderment and awe. And I share that with my kids. I said, hopefully if I did a good job, each of them were like, yeah, I remember this Christmas where I came around the corner and I saw this. And what about you guys? Do you have like a special memory that as a parent you kind of strive for to give to your kid, that you go, here's the thing here's the magic I experienced?
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, we were just talking about it actually a year or two ago, and my oldest was she'd come around the corner and we had one of those kitchens, and she thought it was awesome. It was just this huge kitchen, and then she turned and while we were talking about it, she turned and looked at me and goes, "So what time did you get to go to bed that night?" I'm like, "About 2 hours before you got up, pretty much."
Yeah.
For me, it was personally, it was Castle Grayskull as well. Yeah, I had that for a long time, did not want to give that up, even in my teenage years. It was sad.
Oh, yeah.
But Mirage, I saw you were ready to go with one.
For me, I mean, only the best memory I had when I got iPhones for my kids. I just like decorated those things and everything, boxes after boxes, and they were like digging. They knew that they're going to get a phone. I mean, both the daughters knew they were getting a phone and all of them, but they just kept on digging, and the phone was like box was empty, and they're like, yeah, so disappointed. They just like signed some contracts with me that I'm going to behave the whole year and all this stuff, and they're like, oh, you give me a box, and they just threw everything on me and just ran away. And then while I kept it in the bathroom while they were brushing the teeth, that right there they were lining it up, and they were like so happy after that. I mean, all that anger and crying went away. So that was a fun part of it. I asked them for a month, for almost an hour, and my wife was like, "Give it to them, give it to them. Why are you making them cry?" But I was like, "Yeah, let's just play around with it."
I was going to say, you can't know happiness without a little bit of pain.
Yep.
Andreas, what about you, buddy? Do you have?
Oh man, mine was.
Yep, we lost you.
Oh, his was too powerful. The memory was too strong.
I think I might have to.
I'm going to mute you real quick, buddy. Your audio was just really, really bad. I'm going to try and pull you off, but I'm wondering if we're going to have to. Yeah. Yep. Oh, I was going to say, whenever we see the ceiling, there we go. All right. Well, we will get Andreas's Christmas memory when we come back. Until then, let's hop over to what people came here for.
I was going to say, not when we come back, when he comes back.
When he comes back. Oh, wow. Look at that. Quicker than Christmas morning, or a kid waking up on Christmas morning. All right. Hey, Andre. Okay. So back to you, buddy.
Really quick. It was the Millennium Falcon, the Imperial Star, Boba Fett's ship, all hanging from the roof with nylon. Yeah. Like my dad hooked them up so that they were all like hanging from the roof, and they looked like they were flying. And walking into the living room like that was incredible.
Well done, Papi Padilla. Yeah. I mean, magnificent. That is fantastic on your father, man. Yeah. That's great. That's a tough act to follow right there, buddy.
I know. What a good dad.
That is fantastic. Okay. Good stuff. Now let's head over to the roundtable. Of course, leading off the roundtable, I've got our good buddy Neeraj, unleashing the capabilities of Azure Synapse Analytics for healthcare customers.
So a very nice article by Prabhajit Kaur. I mean, the reason I brought this up was I was doing some digging onto healthcare. I mean, I have a customer who's deep into healthcare. I was seeing like what can it be, particularly for the performance part of it. I mean, that's where a lot of data comes in, and PII is another one. They are looking at it. So I was looking at some good articles, and this came up, giving a good in-depth solutions of how to use Synapse as a healthcare industry, a part of it. Walks it right into it. I mean, she does go from how you can use Synapse, dedicated SQL pools, the Spark cluster, and how this whole thing can be visualized at the end of the thing. Very end-to-end process, very detail-oriented. Even she gives data optimization, right? And where she's describing heap versus CCI tables, splitting data into multiple tables, data distribution columns, and all of them. So really nicely written article, and something that would help healthcare industries out there.
Fantastic. No, this is a great blog. And that is super helpful. I love the different performance telemetry that's in there, as well as being able to call out those different scenarios, when to be able to use a heap, when to use a distributed cluster column store index. Fantastic stuff. Really nice. I like that. All right. So I am up next, and I had Raz Emayev using Azure Data Factory to read and process REST API data sets. And I found this one to be fascinating because it wasn't just using a webhook to be able to pull from an API. One of the things specifically that he was utilizing was he was using a link service to be able to get that data as an API, because if you use the REST API, it's got a 4 megabyte limit, whereas this could pull in data at a greater limit. And you've got that flexibility then to be able to create a data set that's a JSON type data set. Plus, you can put multi-factor authentication on something like this to be able to utilize no auth authentication, because when you create a link service, you could use a service principal or something of that nature, or a managed identity, to be able to authenticate and then be able to pull in that information. So a wonderful point of view of pulling in REST API data with Azure Data Factory that I thought was really cool.
No, definitely. I like that one.
Right. And up next, I have Andreas Padilla. Andreas, I have announcing registries in Azure Machine Learning to operationalize models and pipelines at scale.
Great article by Mirage, by Mirage Bellashwar. This, and a couple of things, the links that I have today, I love them because I'm like, wow, why haven't I been using this? And all three of them that we're going to show you today. But this is one where I'm like, I got to start using these registries. What registries are for Azure Machine Learning, it's a central hub where you can have all those models that you may want to share with other groups that are working in their own workspaces. And you want to have some separation of concern, but you want to be able to bring in different pipelines, different artifacts, different models, and centrally, house them and then distribute them out to different data scientists in different work groups in different regions. So definitely something that people should be leveraging is registries, and leveraging. And I'm seeing this more and more from customers, is that they have different teams working on different models, and they want to be able to have some separation, but collaborate on the final product. And what that final product is, the model registry, and not house it so only one person can get to it, but house it so multiple people can share with them. So moving forward, model registries should be the way to go for architectures when it comes to MLOps.
You get a model registry. You get a model registry. Yeah. I mean, this is a brilliant way. If we, let's say we, because there's a lot of cool projects out there, and maybe we ought to do this next year for the Final Four every single year. Kagul has an ML model thing, but it would allow all of us to work on the same model, but be able to have separate items in there. So if we wanted to be able to add different attributes or different algorithms associated with it too, and then be able to CoPilot, have that model, that registry would allow us to be able to work in that type of way. Maybe that's a good use case for us to be able to do something fun that would also be something we could guide the end user through, that simulates what we see our customers doing. I love it.
Yep, nice one.
Great stuff, Andreas. All right, so Josh, you are up next with Common Azure Synapse Link for SQL Storage Performance Issues by Kevin Chant.
Yeah, so for me, I'm a sucker for a good troubleshooting article, because this is, those are a lot of the times the blogs I find, because I'm trying to troubleshoot an issue I'm experiencing. I came across this one. It actually walks through, some basic, symptoms of a storage permissions issue, and then walks you through actually how to, to fix those issues. It's all around Data Lake Gen 2, got some links to some other information about SQL 2022. But yeah, for this and really in troubleshooting the Synapse link, around, the common storage permissions issues, I personally just loved it for that. So I wanted to bring Kevin up to the table.
Nice.
Great stuff. Yeah. And I always love it when we get somebody, I agree, a good troubleshooting blog, because it means they've been there, they've done that. And it shortcuts us having to walk through all the same issues that they've had. Well done, Kevin. That is a kudo worthy blog. Absolutely. All right. And so next up is Neeraj Jhaveri, creating a data solution on Azure Synapse Analytics with Snapshot Serengeti.
So this is like part of 4 series, but I'm just bringing one, and then you can check the other 3 of them. What Josh is trying to do up here is trying to build a solution for not you, Josh. I see that. So he's trying to build a pipeline that can ingest semi-structured or unstructured data and bring it into the Synapse, and how it can transform, visualize it up into the workspace of it. With an architecture diagram also, he's giving you how step by step where he's putting the things, where he's going to be ingesting it up, and then it goes into details where it goes into Synapse Analytics workspace, where he's breaking it down into different configurations and how link services can be used, which definitely everybody is like right now not sure how to use it up, and that's where it's giving you a good ingestion, details of how to ingest this data into your Synapse environment. It's part of 4 series. One by one is showing different things, but in this particular series is just showing how to ingest the data into Synapse.
Fantastic. No, I look forward to the rest of this series. It's great. Yeah. It's very detailed, and there's a very clear purpose that he's doing. This is all fantastic. Great job, Josh. Not this Josh.
Not the Josh with the hat.
But still, great Josh. Great job, Josh. Great Josh. Maybe we would just say great Josh.
Great Josh. Great Josh.
Oh.
Speaking of a great, no, never mind. I'm up next, and I've got 8KB topics. So this is. I was going to say this is from Andrew Persky, and Andrew is one of the folks that is working on the 8KB conference. They're still accepting abstracts up until, I want to say it was the 22nd, I believe it's in here, of April. So they specifically look for deep dive topics. We talked about them a couple of weeks ago. Tracy Boigano had a call for more female speakers to submit to 8KB. But what kind of topics are they looking for? They offered up a good example just to be able to go, hey, if you can offer a talk that's 45 minutes, that's 65 minutes, that's 75 minutes, pick whatever length you want, do whatever demos. They don't have a deck requirement. They're just encouraging you. And if you know the internals of a process, if you know how to deep dive into it, and whenever I say that, people may not know exactly what we're looking at. You're looking at a 400 to 500 level deep dive. A 500 level deep dive requires internal knowledge and operating of the product, but a 400 level deep dive just requires a deep understanding of how the product actually works. So you've got things that, if you're not sitting inside of Microsoft, you can easily have 400 level knowledge of availability groups, of backups and restores, of indexes, of Kubernetes, of query performance tuning, of partitioning, of SQL Server auditing, on SQL Server architecture, of Azure architectures. So there's a lot of possibilities for here. And the one thing that I want to tell you is people will always worry when they look at something, because AKB is known for very deep presentations. They may have a little fear inside of them and go, do I have what it takes to be able to give a deep presentation? I'm going to tell you right now, you do. There is an area and there is a technical aspect of your life that if you know it really well, you do it daily, you probably know it well enough to be able to do at least a 45-minute talk. But you know what you're not going to do? You're not going to know if you can do it if you do not try. So if this is something that you would like to try, go to the sessions, 8KB May 2023. The call for speakers is still open. Here's a list of topics where you can get an idea of different ways that you could know about something. And when Adam Saxton was on, he said he recommended this book to us, Still Like an Artist. The first deep dive talk I ever gave was on data compression internals, and Kaylin Delaney had a ton of what I needed to know about that in her book. And I talked to Kaylin before I delivered the talk in the speaker room at the Path Summit back in 2011. And she was happy and thrilled that I was using the material from her book. I gave her a call out. I put her as a list of the references I had at the end. So don't think just because you learned it from someone else that you can't take that knowledge and present it forward to people. The important thing is we get knowledge out there. So go and take a chance, do a submission. I got to tell you, the more and more I've been plugging this, the more I'm thinking maybe I'll find something to submit myself. Just because it's good fun to go and be able to share at that level. All right. Next up, and any of my co-hosts, if you guys want to submit, I'd be down to help you. Absolutely. I see you scratching that beard, Ludeman. Good, Josh. All right, Andreas, you're up next. Understanding chaos engineering.
Oh my God, this is a great video. I know everybody here has seen the movie Big, right? And one of those jobs where I'm like, oh my God, that would be such a fun job is playing with toys. I mean, playing with toys and chaos engineering have nothing in common, but I looked at this topic and I'm like, this would be such a great area to get more involved in. What do you get to do? You get to break stuff. That's what you're doing. You get to break and do stress tests, fault injections, see if things work, resiliency tests, availability tests. And I'm like, that's a great area. So in this video, John Engel and David Blank, they talk to us about what is chaos engineering, where is it applied, how do you involve that with CI/CD, what tool sets are out there. And we have, it's still in preview, but we have what's called Azure Chaos Studio. And Azure Chaos Studio is a great Azure service that helps you do business continuity tests, prepare for major, if you have, hey, it's December 24th, it's Christmas Day, and you're going to get massive, amounts of orders in and do scaling performance and resiliency and validation tests for those major events. What else? I mean, the list goes on and on. Stress tests, load tests. Chaos Studio helps you do all of that, but just the whole, landscape and the thought of, hey, my job is to go in and hack, and unlike hackers, who get paid for the government, hey, break into the bank. I want to see if if everything's airtight. I get to break and see if things are all fault tolerant. Beautiful job. So check it out.
Excellent. No, it is such a really cool topic, and it's something that people really need to look at and be aware of, especially. Look, sometimes we sit in the data world and we get a little behind what developers are doing and what developers are working on. And this is something that we should know, because that chaos engineering is what happens if the data falls out. And it could be, what if we're able to access a platform? And those things are ridiculously important for data people to understand what the default tolerances are that have built into something. So speaking of good, Josh Ludeman is up next. And I was gonna say you had me at hello on this one, Josh, because I thought originally that it was the armchair expert, but it's armchair architects, data mesh architectures.
They got you. But it actually is a great segue from Andres' post about understanding chaos engineering, because it is from the same group. So it's actually, the armchair architects are Uli Homan, David Blank Edelman, and I'm forgetting his name. Hold on one second. Eric Charon from Microsoft, who actually do this show. So this is another Azure enablement show, but the armchair architects specifically. And it's actually a great article for folks who are trying to wrap their head around what is data mesh architecture, right? I mean, if you go out to someone, and talk who's been around business intelligence and things like that for a while, you ask them what a dimensional model is, they're like, oh, I got that. The new next move forward in analytics and really in your data estate is looking at data mesh as an architecture pattern. This blog and that video, the whole conversation will actually go through it. It's linked in the blog. So if you'd rather read, you can read. If you'd rather watch, you can watch. But it's a great conversation and a good place to get you a basic understanding of it so that you can dive further into data mesh.
Great article. And thanks, Josh, for bringing it up. The reason is data mesh is the new technology out there. This is the new data warehousing concept that is out there. And I was just working with one of the customer. pretty new to me also. I was just trying to learn this whole thing. I read this article and really nice, nice written. So, I mean, it's coming up. Everybody's asking what's data mesh. I mean, they want to drive. I mean, dimensional models and fact tables. All of them are pretty old. That's what they think. So, data mesh is one of the next round to go on to.
Yeah, and it's the video's great to get into too, because all three of them are sitting down talking through it, including Uli, Uli, if you haven't seen him speak before, great resource as far as Azure and architecture. He's a vice president here in Azure as well, so wealth of knowledge there.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Awesome stuff. Love it. So, Neeraj, I've got you up next, buddy, and we are looking at introducing Microsoft 365 CoPilot, your CoPilot for work.
So, I mean, every day I'm on LinkedIn or any other social media post, you see CoPilot, CoPilot, CoPilot. So I'm like, okay, let me just do some more research on it. What's exactly CoPilot is going to be doing? Where is it integrated? I mean, it's every few weeks, Microsoft is announcing CoPilot with some of the products, right? Right now it's Microsoft 365. They integrated it up. GitHub was the last one that they integrated. So something new coming it. What exactly would it do? How easy would my life would be? And over the weekend during Easter, I was meeting one of my friend, and he just showed me a video. He's like, "This is great. I mean, this guy is in construction business. He hates to write emails and all of them. He's like, this is great. All I have to do is fill in the data, and it would pull me the draft of the email, and then I can just modify it up and send it out, which would make my life very easy." And that we did a demo. I mean, not demo, but we did a trial with one of his email, like taking the notes, putting into that, and it drafted up the whole email for him. And then he had to make a few changes here and there, and it just worked perfectly fine. Saved him time. Happy, he was like happy that, oh, this is great. I don't have to worry about it any further. But nicely, there's a whole video showing what CoPilot is, how they are integrating it up. Nicely written article in there showing details of how CoPilot can help you out. I mean, this is the new way of going in the next round of software industries.
Very cool. Very nice stuff. I like it. Okay, that you got me. I'm going to start looking at that a little bit more myself as well, how we can utilize that. Up next is me. This is my last one of the week. This is by Daniel Calbomont. How to work with ChatGPT and Visual Studio Code. I'm not going to lie. The second I saw this article, Andreas, I thought of you immediately. But this was a really, really cool one. And it looks at how we utilize this, how to be able to get the plugins that we need for ChatGPT, then how to be able to set the preferences, how to be able to set your API key, and then how to be able to begin utilizing it and working with it. So I absolutely love this and love being able to take a look at this. And the neat thing was that they used this specifically in this example to connect to their SQL Server in Visual Studio Code, and then ask ChatGPT to explain what the code does that it's looking at in SQL Server, which for DBA is incredibly helpful because sometimes you inherit a system and you're just not aware of everything that this does. And so it gave an explanation of what the code did, and then it executed a line to be able to get a little bit more. Very, very nice stuff. Really great article. And this was a fun way to be able to understand this also from a SQL person's point of view, but a great way to show the integration that you could use with Visual Studio Code to SQL Server and with ChatGPT. This was a really, really fun one.
Nice.
Very nice article.
That's something we can do it.
So Andreas, you are up next. And I got to tell you, I'm just fascinated looking at this title. From YOLO to YOLO V8, tracing the evolution of object detecting algorithms.
Ooh.
Oh, you only look once. Zoolander it. Someone give me a Zoolander there. The Magnum look. So, Avarima.
Blue Steel.
I know. Avarima Vida does a great take, 8-minute read on the evolution of YOLO and how we got to YOLO version 8. And she's, for YOLO models, you can develop them, but there's the way it's evolved is that first they developed YOLO and, they would put these little bounding boxes around images and you'd be able to do object detection, some classification. And throughout the years, since I believe that when YOLO first came out, it was 2016, And it's evolved. It's gone to YOLO V2, YOLO V3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7. Now we're finally to 8. But she talks to us about the evolution, how YOLO went to YOLO V2 and V3, which are better, which are more performant, which are better, which of the YOLOs are better for certain scenarios. And then finally, she ends up with YOLO 8. Now YOLO 8, it has better accuracy for YOLO models. Comes with a lot of new features. It has better, more user-friendly CLI and GitHub repos out there. Tons of support. The whole YOLO community has tons of support for these models. Where you don't use YOLO 8 is if you're trying to train models that have images of 1280 pixels. With 1280 pixel resolution, it doesn't work very well. So you usually lean on YOLO 7. But all in all, what I want you to understand in this article is if you're doing object detection, real-time object detection on the edge, vision AI, image classification, you want to learn about the evolution of this. It'll take you 8 minutes to read. You will understand how YOLO has evolved, which of the YOLO models to use in certain scenarios. And you want to use that because there's plenty of samples out there in accelerators that you're going to be like, wow, okay, I have all these images in super high resolution. YOLO 8 will give you, it will underperform. You will want to lean on YOLO 7 for those types of scenarios. So read, understand that, and you'll get a better landscape of what that means and what to pick for your particular use case.
Nice. I love it. I'm a sucker for great documentation where you get the full history of a product, and I love it that it's all in there. Not to mention with so many amazing memes that she generated in part with the model. I'm a sucker for good memes too. And that looks like a fun read. Her description as an author was also great. I write because writing is the next best thing to Dumbledore's pensive. Oh, that's brilliant. Brilliant. That's some wordsmithing right there.
I guess right. YOLO.
There we go. YOLO. You only look once. Now we all know, and it means something different than with. Look, the kids don't say that anymore. That's been abandoned for at least 6-7 years, so we don't have to worry about it. It's just old people like us, right? So nobody out there should think that is a hip new phrase. If you've just heard of it, congratulations, you're at the tail end of the wave. Nice. And last but not least, Good Josh has the ultimate guide to CitusCon, an event for Postgres 2023 edition.
Yeah, so this is actually from Claire Giordano. She's in the Azure Postgres product group. She's one of the PMs. And in here, she had a friend ask her, who prefers to read about events in a blog rather than, looking through abstracts and things like this. So she actually did a whole breakdown of the entire conference, live stream times, the keynotes and who's delivering them, different talks around Citus itself, which is distributed Postgres, talks from the actual team building Citus, which is OSS, again, distributed Postgres. Cosmos DB for Postgres, product group talks, ecosystem, Postgres talks itself, Azure database for Postgres, and everything. It goes through the whole thing. Even talks about getting into the Discord for the live show. Because that's, again, one of the neat things about this is it's virtual, in-person kind of hybrid thing. So a lot of great content in here. Goes through all the different sessions, including links. So if you're like me, trying to get a little bit more versed in Postgres, this is a great opportunity to do it through this conference. A lot of great sessions. Nice. Definitely recommend it for all.
Absolutely. And this is so fantastic because at this point in time, if you're just learning about CitusCon, you're clearly not going to be there in person. So you're going to have to be a virtual attendee. But the fact that she's laid out so many things that you can get involved with, the ways to be able to get involved, the fact that the keynote is live streamed. I always love being able to take advantage of those things, not to mention the accessibility of it. I mean, I am glad that we are out of the period in time where everything has to be virtual and remote. We can get back to some in-person interactions. But at the same time, we can't lose the fact that we were able to reach so many more people through virtual interactions, like the show,
Sure.
versus what we used to be able to do. So,
Well, in to your point, Brad, that's exactly, this is the situation I like virtual conferences. Getting more versed in a new technology to me, I'm not in a position to drop $4,000 or whatever it is to get into a conference, plus travel expenses and things like that. A virtual conference like this allows me to become more versed. Maybe I want to go deeper. I need a deeper investment. Then maybe, putting in for, a whole conference pass and all that stuff. But for the time I'm at in my career with Postgres, this is a better fit for me.
absolutely. So I have one other thing that I wanted to bring up, and this isn't in the script, but I definitely thought
Well, we're
that it
going
was
off
worth.
script. I'm not ready. I don't know.
Not just okay.
I was going to say, here we go, off script. The SQL Saturday Jacksonville 2023 calendar is live. And the fact is, you've got some really great names on here, like Bradley Ball, like Josh Lindemann.
The good Josh.
The good Josh.
The good Josh.
We got our good friend Bradley Schatt, who's on the Azure Synapse team. Bob Ward. There's not a good scroll mechanism to go back and forth. Christina Hughes, who we've had her stuff on the show. Steve Hughes also going to be there. Bob Ward going to be there. Andy Warren is going to be there. James Sierra, Steve Jones. I mean, there's so many wonderful people. And hold on, I'm trying to find them because I know that you're on the schedule. Daniel Taylor's right there.
Yeah, I think we have sessions.
We got
between folks at Tales from the Field. We've got sessions at 9, I think 11:30, 1:30, 3 o'clock. I think
3 o'clock is the last one.
Yeah, just about every time slot has someone from this show.
I was going to say indexing internals with me, and at the same time, Josh and Mirage will be doing Azure SQL best practices for security, how to stay out of the news. I love it. I mean, all kinds of good stuff. I want to say we've got another Andreas Padilla and Neeraj Jhaveri streaming pipelines with Azure Databricks, Bradley Schatt, Beginner's Guide to Power BI, Daniel Taylor, the nuances of SQL Server backup and recovery. I can't split myself into 4 people because I'd like to be there and also over at Steve Hughes' talk. This is just going to be an absolutely amazing day. And as you can see, we got James Sierra closing things out at the end, Mike Antonock, Rob Volk, Revenge the Sequel. If you haven't seen Rob give the Revenge the Sequel talk, oh my goodness, it is an epic, wonderful, hilarious, and also knowledge-inducing type of talk. It is just the perfect talk. Absolutely wonderful stuff. But all of that is at SQL Saturday Jacksonville coming up on May the 5th. And well, actually, May the 5th is our pre-con. May the 6th is Jacksonville. And the pre-con on May the 5th is going to be myself and Neeraj Jhaveri and Daniel Taylor. And we're doing a full day of DBA fundamentals. 101. It's going to be a great class. At the same time, there's 2 other great pre-cons going on. Ginger Grant is doing an Azure Synapse Analytics pre-con. Bob Ward is doing his SQL Server 2022 pre-con. So much wonderful stuff. As a matter of fact, I think we're all congregating up there on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, gentlemen.
The SQL Saturday is on Revenge of the 6th.
Ooh, interesting. But I got to tell you, one of my favorite things this weekend was that I got to call up Neeraj and I got to call up Andreas, and Josh bought us movie tickets for a theater that's across the street from us. And Dan's going to be there with us. Brad Chat's going to join us. I cannot wait for that. That's going to be going down on May the 5th. That's going to be a lot of fun. And what a great way to cap off a long day where we've had a pre-con. Get us ready to go to bed, wake up early, where we're going to have multiple presentations over at the SQL Saturday. I'm going to be bringing the same stickers that we had over at SQL Bits. And speaking of conferences, we don't have the schedule yet, right? We don't know that we're going to be there. we're hoping, fingers crossed, but it's time to start planning your trip. Josh, to where?
The
You forgot.
luxurious Lowe's Royal Pacific Resort on the voluptuous grounds of Universal Studios Orlando.
Live 360 is coming. Start planning your trip today. It's going to be the week before Thanksgiving. You know what? As a matter of fact, we should probably contact them and see if we could get a discount code, because they've got discount codes running for a period of time. We should get a discount code for the show. So tune in next week. I'll reach out to our good buddy Thomas Rock, see if we can get one. If nothing else, maybe we get a speaker code, but I would love it if we get a discount code for people to be able to sign up and go. And everybody should be striving. So first off, there are multiple different conferences. They are all outside of Florida. And I'm going to tell you what I tell everybody who's on the phone with me in the middle of winter up in Minnesota and New York and all these different places where there's tons of snow. It's a choice not to be in Florida. And you could, in November, where it is going to be cold in the rest of the country, you could be in the beautiful Orlando, Florida at Universal Studios. Yeah.
You're missing on the skiing, man.
Hey, look, I'm down to ski, but when I'm at a conference, I don't want it to be that cold outside. I'd like to be able to go, I'm done with sessions. Let's go hit a theme park or a bar nearby at the famous Universal City Walks, or any of the wonderful restaurants, including the amazing sushi restaurant and bar upstairs in the Lowe's Royal Pacific. We really need to get royalties off of this.
This is better than what I thought you were going, Brad, because when you said it's the week before Thanksgiving, I thought you were going to try and get one of us to wear a turkey costume, at which point I was going to say no.
I think that would be a great hat, Josh. I'm glad you volunteered to wear a turkey hat.
I did not volunteer anything.
Should we get a pre-con?
We should vote for that.
That's what I heard. Josh is wearing a turkey hat to our pre-con.
Nope.
There we go. I will buy it. I will buy you a turkey hat. Deal.
You can buy it for me, and I will
this
never
week
wear it.
we are also dropping for our MS Tech Bits how internals work, clustered indexes, non-clustered indexes, and heaps demo edition. This is going to be all the demos to accompany the conceptual video that we dropped last week. Next Tuesday is the roundtable. Remember, if you are out there in the community creating content, get some over to us so that way we can feature you on the show. We'd love to have you.
Send it in, people.
I was going to say, is there anything else that we need to cover? No, I think we're good. Yeah. All right. Cue the music, Mr. Ludeman. It's time to play us out. We hope you all have a great week. Thank you so much, and take care, everybody.
See you later.
See you. Bye.
Some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you want to be. Step 4,